Hello everyone, this is Mike and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to tackle a topic that came up from a question in the comments field of my HTML reporting with PowerShell part 3 video. So basically the comment was, if we could take each of the individual tables, like the individual sections, and be able to show them in a collapse state and then be able to like expand them as I need. So if I want to see like the user information, the nested groups, the direct groups, the files, each of those tables, be able to show it in a kind of like a single line, and then be able to expand it as I want to look at that info. So that way you're not seeing all of the information all at once. You can pick which sections of the table you like want to expand. So that's basically the gist of today. Right? Now, with that being said, when you're adding actions into a table here, you're getting out of the realm of what, let's say, native PowerShell could do, like the convert to HTML commandlet, or what a cascading style sheet could do. A cascading style sheet cannot add functionality. It basically, puts an appearance, puts a skin on the report. So what font, what color, spacing, whether you want to center justify, left justify, stuff like that. So from my understanding with looking at this, if I want to add this behavior in, I'm delving into the world of JavaScript to be able to do it, okay? Which from my perspective, I have no knowledge of whatsoever. Okay? So I am definitely not knowledgeable on that side. So give me PowerShell, obviously. Let's see, CSS, SQL, WMI, regular expressions. Uh, Obviously in Azure, KQL. So those are all things that I'm knowledgeable in. Java just hasn't been one that I've gotten into because I've never really been in the developer or the programmer world. I've always been just an IT admin or on the training side, teaching IT admin related classes, right? So with this, how I kind of tackled it was basically just doing some good old internet searching and seeing what I came up with. Okay, so let me change over to the to my lab environment to the VM here, and I have VS Code up, and I have the version of the script that we ended with part 3 of this series, okay, which is putting together the report and adding in like some table tags here, like we added a table ID. We had added, let's see, some elements there. Okay, so we're adding in classes and table IDs and stuff like that, which is what we did in the last section here. Right. So in fact, I should probably run this report back in PowerShell again just to establish that this is actually working again. So this was user report 2. Let's go ahead and run that. Oops, helps if I can spell user right. User report 2. Let's see, user. I'll still use my Jeff Kent user. And we want the HTML file name. So let's just call this, how about testing1.htm, and putting into my stuff directory. Okay, so testing1.htm. Um, and oops, so we do have something going on here. So let me see what that might be. So again, I think this is the script as I left it last, but there might be something. Okay, so I've got cascading style sheet there. Let's go see, where is it being called? Oh, okay. I see what it is. So yeah, so something might have happened between when I saved this file. I might have overwritten it. So let's get rid of that. And we want to put the cascading style sheet right after the end of the title element. So $CSS. All right, so let's fix that. So again, as I mentioned, I think in the second, or I think it was the second video of this series, I'm embedding the style sheet in the script that makes the report. So that way the style sheet is in the report itself. With CSS URI, it's always looking for the cascading style sheet to be external. So it would have to be available when the HTML report file is open, not when your script is run, but when it's opened. So let's go try this again. Okay, it didn't throw an error at me, so let's see. So there's testing one. Crack that open, and okay, so we're looking good. Okay, I wouldn't say looking good, but God, what did I do for colors here? So yeah, we probably fix this up too. Maybe makes it a little more, little more nicer, something like that. So, um, yeah, all right. Actually, this is, I don't know if this is the actual script that we ended with. I don't see the different colors here to do a color gradient. Age is not coloring nice here. So let's see. So maybe that's not the actual one we had ended up with here. Let's see. So we have this one. Maybe let's try that one. And if not, I'll put you guys on pause here and go and try and find the actual original there. I know I uploaded it. Um, so let's try that one. And yeah, I just overwrote the file in case you're curious. Yep, okay, so that was, yeah, that was it. So user report, okay. So that's what we're gonna be working from here. So in fact, let me close that out of the ISE and let's open user report. And that might be, yep, okay, so the style sheet's there. All right, so that's what we had ended with the last video here. So we had this user report script. We had the function that grabbed the group information from Active Directory, right? And I think I have that as a .NET video how to go about making this. So I just put that in as a function because it's a lot of code to call. Here's my style sheet, which again I'll make some changes to that today. User query, creating our fragments, and then finally combining everything into a final convert to HTML to get the job done. All right, putting the cascading style sheet into the header, which is where it goes, and away we go. All right, so that's where we're starting out from. Now, when I saw the comment from one of the watchers of my video, so and again, I appreciate all of you taking the time to watch the videos, most appreciated. So the comment was again about expanding and collapsing tables. Now, when you start Googling for this, the a lot of answers that you get are roundabout, not necessarily expanding and collapsing the whole table, but expanding and collapsing individual rows. So basically, like if I have a table with like objects in it, I can click on a row to see like details of that object, which is not really what I was looking for. Okay, so basically the question posed was, you know, if I take a table here like direct groups, have it show just the header here, and then when you click on it, expand the rows out that are inside of it. Okay, and this is a relatively simple table. I mean, it's just got a single, you know, label as the header, and each row just has one object in it. So it's not really that complex. Okay, but again, the stuff that I was mainly getting from just Google searching was about expanding and collapsing individual rows. Okay, so I don't know what finally caused it. It might have been reading a forum post or something like that, where I saw someone mention an accordion. You know, think of like the old musical instrument, like an accordion, right? And so, you know, you think about an accordion, and again, it expands and contracts, right? That's how it makes the music. So what I ended up doing was searching off of that. Let me go to Google here. um, for HTML accordion, right? So that's literally what I ended up searching on. And the first page I come to is from the W3 schools, which again, I leverage that website a lot when I'm doing cascading style sheets. So I opened up that page and, how to do collapsibles or accordions, right? So, looking at the code here, and I see the try it yourself. So that brings up like the script editor here, and where they're expanding and collapsing sections. And it seems like, that's exactly what I would want. Okay, so if I look at the accordion, it's expanding and collapsing basically this text, right? So if I look in the code over here, the actual HTML, I could see see this where it says section one. Okay, that's this right here. Okay, so literally what it's doing is it's making a type of HTML element called a button. Right, and then inside of the button, you have a div tag or div element, division, I don't know, whatever div stands for. But basically, if you look at that, so again, if I come back up to my lovely friends at W3 schools here, and we look at the references for HTML, if I go down here into the tag reference and I look for div right here, I could see that it's creating a section in a document that can be styled with a cascading style sheet. All right, so hey, that makes sense. That sounds like something I might want to do. Then, if you notice the code here, it's also inside the div. It's got uh, a tag with the letter P on it, right? So there's the opening one right there, and the closing one right there. So again, what's that doing? All that's doing is it's basically doing a paragraph. So if you find the P one there, you can see a paragraph that's marked up. So basically, this text is treated as a single paragraph. Well, that doesn't do me any good, right? That's not useful to me at all. However, what I have, if I look at my HTML on my report, is I have a table, right? So what I would like to do is be able to take a table, like, so if I take this code and view the source, um, so basically what I'm doing every time I make a fragment is I'm making a table, right? So if I take this and basically copy it, right? Let's do a copy here, and then go into the report area of this accordion here, and instead of having this paragraph area, I'm going to delete it and I'm going to paste in my table and then run it, and notice how it expands and collapses my table. And in fact, I could even put for the title of the button what the table header was, like direct groups. And then if I'm feeling so inclined, I could even just wipe out the table header in the table. Like you don't need a header, and run it. And now I have direct groups, and then there's the group memberships underneath, right? So that's what I think I'm going to want to do. Now, the interesting part of this code, I cannot do this coming out of convert to HTML. It's just not happening. So what I need to do is I need to insert this code as the fragment's being made, which is perfectly fine, right? When you do convert to HTML with making either a fragment or making a whole page, you have a section called pre-content, which is what you want to put in front of the fragment, and you have post content, which is what you want to put after the fragment. So the table represents the fragment. I need to add this code to the beginning and this code to the end. All right. So that's what I need to add. Now, what actually makes the button work is this code down here, this script element. Okay, and this is where the Java comes in. So I can recognize, like, this is a for construct, so this is looping. So this establishes a variable, what keeps the variable looping, what you do to the variable after each iteration of the loop. So I'm familiar with a for construct. It's in other languages, including PowerShell. But the rest of this, obviously, I recognize an if else. They're making a variable. Dollar this that's actually a fairly common variable in .NET scripting. You could actually use it in PowerShell as well. So in PowerShell, obviously, it's dollar sign THIS. So that's there, but again, those are the elements I recognize. I have no clue what the rest of this is. All right. So basically, what I see happening here is it's establishing this ACC as a variable, which is looks like they're creating a class called an accordion. Right. And then setting, like, the length to it. Um, they're creating a panel, and then setting the panel to display or not based on if the button is clicked on, this accordion is clicked on. Okay, so in essence, what it's doing is it's taking, if you click on it, it's setting, it's changing the panel display. Okay, so basically my table is being put into this panel, if you will. All right, so I need this script added into my script, if you will, to make everything work. And I need to also input these pieces of HTML here. So the button tag, the div tag, and then the closing of the div tag. The button self closes, by the way. There's the opening, and then there's the closing of the button right there. All right. And then for each individual table that I'm going to expand, I'm adding this in as the proper text for it. Kind of like what we see here. All right. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal some of this code. Okay, so let's go ahead and first of all, we're going to steal the script. Okay, let's get that. So you can actually put that into your PowerShell script here. So I'm going to go put it like right underneath the CSS style sheet as another here string. Right? So if we look at it, I made the here string right here, and I'm going to do the same thing for script. Okay, because again, it's a lot of lines of code that I want PowerShell to treat as a single piece of text, right? So let's just call it uh, JavaScript. You can't do $script, by the way. PowerShell reserves that as a special variable. All right, so let's do an @ open, and then one of the nice things about the VS Code is it closes the element for me. So then inside of it, we'll just paste the script in there. All right. So again, I'm going to call that later on here. You'll see me utilize that. But anyway, so there's my script right there. And then that gets that part done, ready to be called at a later point in time. All right. So again, depending on how you need it. So with that being the case here, now I need to come in and start mocking up the individual fragments. Okay, so again, we need. So let's say we have like let's see, what do I want to work on here? So we've got fragment one that puts up this part of the report right here. No, I don't need the page source. Oops, sorry. Let's open up that report again. So that puts up this part here, and I was going to leave that alone. Because I wanted that to display regardless. So I was going to leave that alone. And instead, I was going to mess with these tables here: direct groups, nested groups, and the the output of files from the home directory, okay, and whether they were new or old. So basically, I've got 3 tables here that I want to do this on. All right. So frag1, I'm going to leave alone. So the first one I need to do something to is frag2 here. Okay, and what I'm going to need is I'm going to need to work on convert to HTML because I have a fragment we're doing as a table. I probably don't even need that, by the way, because it's just a single column. So in fact, yeah, I'm probably just going to wipe that out. So we've got fragment, and then I need a pre-content section. And then eventually I'm going to need a post-content section as well. Oops, not property. Uh, Post-content. Okay, so I'm going to need some things in there. And pre-content and post-content, they're both going to be strings. Okay, now for post-content, that one's pretty easy, right? If we go back to our code here, look at what ends the table, right? So we had the table in there, and it just has a closing div tag. So that's all I'm going to need for that part, right? So post content, that's pretty easy. So you got a greater than sign slash div closing greater than sign. Okay, done. Pre-content, that one's going to be a little fun. Okay, so in fact, pre-content's going to be a big old string here. So I'm going to take convert to HTML, and I'm going to put each of the parameters on its own line. So I'm going to take after fragment, I'm going to do space, backtick, carriage return, and then maybe tab this in a little bit so it lines up nice. Yeah, oh come on, there. And then we'll backtick, carriage return, and that lines up nice too. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, the backtick escapes the carriage return. So even though this is 3 lines, it's just seen as like 1 line of code. And it makes it nice when you want to arrange the parameters on a commandlet when you have a lot of parameters. So you don't have to do it like this. It's just a way of organizing things. And now let's go back in here and grab this right here. All right, so we'll go grab that code and bring that into the pre-content part. All right, and I need that to just to be 1 line here. All right, so something like that. Right, so basically this needs to be inserted. Now the problem with it is there's a lot of quotes in it as well, double quotes. And so PowerShell's misinterpreting this. So it's seeing this quote right here as closing this quote right here, which is not what I need. Okay, I need the whole thing to be seen as one piece of text. So typically what you do with this in PowerShell is if there's quotes inside of a double quote string, change them from double to single. Um, and then PowerShell will interpret it correctly. Okay, like so. Okay, something like that. Now you might be thinking, well, Mike, why don't you just do a single quote along the outer piece? And I would, but I need to put a carriage return in here. And the symbols for carriage return would not be interpreted correctly if the outer ones here were singles. So if that was a single and that was a single, basically what PowerShell does is it treats everything inside as the literal characters, right? So it wouldn't interpret anything. Like if you had a variable in there or if you had some formatting strings in there, which is what I need to put in. So I'm going to keep those outer ones as double quotes because I need to put a carriage return right here. Okay, and to do that inside of a set of double quotes, when PowerShell writes the string out to the file, you do backtick R for carriage return and backtick N for a new line. So that's a formatting technique you can do. Right? And so now this would make 1 line of text in my HTML fragment, and this would make another line of text inside of it. Right? Now I'm going to leave the direct groups here because that matches the name of my table, right? So that's fine there, right? And so that now gets the accordion set up. Okay, so if we go ahead and save this and try to give it a run. So this was user report. Oh man, I just overwrote the original user report. Oh well. We're not going back to it anyway. Okay, so let's say I want to go ahead and run this. And we'll save this. I'll overwrite testing one. What the heck? Okay, so it went. Now let's try opening the file. And okay, there's direct groups. Right? So it is there, right? So it's doing something. Um, and so it's doing something. So we did. Let's see. So we did add that in. Um, and in fact, let me view the page source and see if it actually put that table in correctly. Um, so there's the button. There's class panel, table. There's the table. Closing the table and closing the div tag. All right. So that looks close to what I need. Putting it mildly. All right. Now, granted, I still need to do some style sheet stuff, but at least that gets that part set up. All right. So what I probably want to do here is we're going to continue with this convert to HTML. We're going to use that with the other tables here. Right. So frag 3 needs that, and frag 4 is going to need that. Okay. So let's see. So frag 2 we're all done with. So let's go to frag 3. And frag 3, I need to get this piece out of here. This post content where it's doing the date. I never meant for that to be there. That was an error, probably in my last video. So in fact, let me take that, and eventually I'm going to put that in frag 4 because I still want the date on the end of everything. It's just now frag 4 is the last table, right? And then we'll take this whole line here and just replace on frag 3. All right, so I'll do something like that. And again, this time I'll change direct groups over to nested groups. So we'll do that. Um, and everything's now nice and arranged as well. Okay, so that creates that info correctly. And I now need to do kind of the same concept here with frag 4. All right. So let's take this up to the pre-content line because I want the post-content line that's there. So we'll do convert to HTML. Yeah, let's delete that, paste that in. We've got the pre-content. I can do a carriage return right here for post-content. And let's see. So this would be, I need to give it some type of title because it's definitely not nested groups. What a bit. Home folder directory. Directory, I don't know, something like that. Right? And then on the post content, I still need to do the closing div, and then I need to do backtick R, backtick N, and then I'll have this header, this H5 size header here underneath at the very end. All right. So that should work. All right, and again, the same thing I was doing here, we're replacing class IDs to do the color scheme and stuff like that. Okay, so let's save this and make sure it doesn't choke on it. Okay, so testing one. Let's close these fields here. Let's see, I don't need that at the moment. The editor I'm going to come back to. I'm going to need that in a bit. Accordion, I don't need that. And Google, I certainly don't need that at the moment. Let's see. So now let's open testing one again. So I see the accordions are there. Direct groups, nested groups, and home folder directory list. All right, cool. So we've got those elements, and if we come in, view the page source, I should see those tables. Okay, so here's fragment one, right? There's the button, there's direct groups. Here's the next accordion, there's the nested groups. And then lastly, here's the home folder directory list. Okay, and it looks like it's wrapping correctly. There's the top part. Then you've got the table, and then there's your closing div. And this one worked cool too. Got that in. So that'll put the date down at the bottom, and then um, yeah, that'll work. At least I think it should work. Okay, so so that being said, now we've got to come back to the style sheet. Okay, and in the style sheet, if you look at, here's the opening style sheet, and then there's the closing. Notice you have some accordion information in here. Okay, and um, this will enable me to do a bit of styling to this. So just to start off with, I'm just going to steal all of this. All right, so we're just going to steal that, and we're going to go and put this into our style sheet. Okay, so here's my style sheet, and then we're going to go put the accordion stuff in. And I do need to close the panel element. I didn't copy all of it correctly, so we got that. And in fact, I should probably put that on its own line just to keep the styling a little consistent. Okay, and then we'll save this by doing, again, I'm just hitting Control S to save. And then let's try opening this again. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to run the script again. And then let's see, let's open the file. And notice, all right, um, we have our information in here, okay? So that collapsed the tables for us. So we're getting there, right? We're getting there. So that's again, a step in the right direction, right? Okay. So now, if you notice, I should have probably pointed this out because this would be the next thing we need to add. Let me bring that report back up. And notice I am clicking. Like, I don't know if you can hear my mouse click there. But notice the tables are not expanding. So it collapsed them fine, but there's no action to expand them at the moment. And so if I look at the page source, there's, here's my style sheet, right? And it got the accordion stuff in it. Here's all of like the table content. But notice you don't see the script. The script never made it into the code. And so that's obviously a problem. So I need the script to kind of get imported into here. And the way to do that, so first of all, you saw me put the script in as a here string. So notice we've got JavaScript right here. And then what I want to do is I want to come down to the actual line that makes the file, right? So that would be this final convert to HTML. And in it, before we do the out file, I need to add another section on here. So in fact, I'm going to split this into multiple lines here. So I'm going to add another parameter. Let's see, let's line you up. Let's do another backtick, and we'll do a post content. And for post content, what we want here is we want to put the script in. So post content $, JavaScript, right? So that should now get that code tacked onto the end here. All right, so we'll do a save here. Come back into my separate PowerShell session here, just run the script again. And then let's go look. And notice now we have expanding and collapsing groups. All right, there we go, rather nice. Okay, now, and then we've got there's the report line. So when it was created, so again, I'm going to upload this video right after I'm done creating it here. So the date will actually be when this is uploaded as well. Just give me like half an hour after I'm done here. So we have everything cool. Everything's there, right? So we could expand and correct. Now, in all honesty, it looks like crap. Okay, so just looks like garbage at the moment. So we could fix that through the style sheet. So that's probably what I want to tackle next. So we've got the elements in here. We just want to style it. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here, grab the page source and grab all of this, copy it, and I'm going to go back to the try it editor on W3 schools here. I'm going to Control A to delete all of that. I'm going to paste in my code and then run it. And then here's my report, right? So what's nice about this is everything works in here and you can change the style sheet. Okay, just remember you're inside the style element here. You can change the style sheet on the fly. So there's style right there. So yeah, everything in here is the style sheet. So what I like is when I'm fudging with style sheets, I just take the whole, HTML code, paste it into here, and now I can mess with the style sheet on the fly. And I can see the changes live. Right? So one of the things that I had liked when I was thinking about, how I was going to do this video, was I really liked the color gradient here. I really liked the blue theme, right? So going from light to blue to dark blue was basically what I'd like. So I'd figured I want to style this, let's say using like the blue range, right? So we'll do something with like a blue theme to work on the style sheet, right? Like the red for the table borders, the white, the not the quite right, more like a dirty kind of white as the background, a shade of gray. I don't really like that. At least it doesn't fit this theme. So I am going to change a bit of the style sheet here. Now, some of this will be on the accordion. I'll get to that in a moment. And some of this is just making the report look, a little nicer. Okay, so to kind of play around with this, I need to change some color schemes around. So I liked light blue and dark blue. I was going to stick with those, but I need some other like blue colors, right? So if I come into the W3 schools site again, and we go up to tutorials, learn CSS. There's a CSS colors, and then you could get into some of the colors here. Like let's say, for instance, I want to mix my own color. Let's do an RGB, right? And there's actually like a color mixer right here that you can kind of put together a color that you want. Okay, you can mix them together. So on my, another aspect of my life is I do a lot of photography and photo retouching. So I'm very familiar with RGB. So I kind of know what color I want. And I'm not going to get it through one of the standard color names here. Because there are a few that are nice. There are 140 standard color names. You could open them up, and there's a whole bunch of colors here. Okay, so that's how, like, for instance, you can find, like, light blue, dark blue. There's a cornflower blue. There's dark blue right there. Um, there's a midnight blue, I believe. That the name of it? Yeah, so you could go through it. I mean, there's all sorts of colors here. Yeah, there's midnight blue right there. So that's fine, right? There's a steel blue. I like steel blue a lot. Um, yeah, this right here, I kind of like that. So you can find some of these colors by name, but if you're not quite sure what you're looking for, like I wanted a really, really light shade of blue, right? And there's not really one that's by name, so I can mix myself up one and get the RGB colors, right? So if I want something that's a really light shade of blue, if you take all of these and put them all to 255, you get white, right? In hex, that would be the equivalent of doing all Fs, F, 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 F. And then if you go all the way to the negative, you get black. Okay, so what I want is I want a really light shade of blue. So I leave the blue turned up all the way, and then the green and the red I dial back a little bit. So maybe like to around like 230-ish. Right? And dial them both back, and you're turning the red and the green off equally, so what's left is blue. So you get this kind of light shade of blue here. Now, how do I incorporate that into my style sheet? So back where I have the body here, I've got the background color. That's basically a shade of white. Okay, all Fs would be pure white, so this is kind of like a very light gray. Instead, for background color, I can put RGB and then parentheses and then the numbers I want. So I want 230 for red, 230 for green, and 255 for blue. Run it, and now there's my blue background there. Okay, and Lucida console was cool. Font size was cool. Okay, so then we come into the tables, and the table, the problem we're going to run into with the table is I don't know if you can see this, but look on the sample on the right here. Notice that the accordion uses the full width of whatever your display is, right? And I have the tables at 80% width. So I don't actually want that. I want full size tables. So I want to go to like 100. All right. And then I don't really want margins because again, the accordion doesn't use the margins. So I'm going to get rid of the margin. Okay. And then let's run this. And we should see the tables now. Um, if we expand out, come on. Let's see. So we still got something going on there. This outer table looks good. Okay, so table one looks good. It's the same width as the accordion. Okay. I think I know what's going on with the rest, but we'll work our way down through here. Okay, so then the margin on the bottom, that's probably 40 pixels. Maybe I'll change that to 20. The table header, light and dark, and then the color that can be white. That's cool. So that's the color. That would be the color of the text. The height is fine. Table display. So that would be the border, 1 pixel solid red. Let's change that to a very dark blue. Let's do like the midnight blue for this. Okay, run that. And now, cool, that changed it to the blue. I like that. Um, let's see. So we've got a hover color here. I don't, let's not do yellow. Let's just maybe do white. Okay, the text, the H1 header, that was blue. Let's change that to maybe midnight blue as well. Let's run that. Cool. So I'm basically just going through here and just changing, some of the stuff up here just to make it look a little nicer. Um, so that we'll change that to midnight blue. Let's see, my even odd rows. Let's see, let's change that. So I've got a really light blue. Let's change every odd row instead of this off-white color. Let's maybe do a light steel blue. All right, the hover as orange. I never really liked that. I was just using that as a trick, just to show what could be done. So in fact, I think I'll just get rid of this whole table row hover section here, and then that'll just leave the overall hover, which was yeah, right here. So overall hover would be white for everything. All right, so we got that. Now let's see. So let's run this, make sure that that all works. Cool. So the hover's now white. Expand this out. Uh, we can see the hover's slow. It's working, but it's a little slow. So cool. So we got that going. Okay. So now let's see here. So we've got the accordion itself. And if you notice the background color is set to, again, this shade of gray. And I don't really like that. So what I'd like to do for the background color is I'd like to do the same color as the header here, this gradient. So let's go find that code up here. Yeah, right here. Let's go copy that, and we'll go put that in the accordion as its background color. So we'll style that up, run it, and notice now the accordions um, have that gradient to them. The color of the text, though, the text color, that's not cool. So let's change that to white. There we go. The cursor is pointer. So what that means is when you kind of hover over, see how it changes the cursor. I'm not on the accordion. Now I am. Okay, off the accordion, on the accordion. So we could do that. Let's see. So cursor, the padding, that's 18 pixels. That goes all around. The width is 100. Border none. In fact, yeah, no, I'll leave that there. Text align. I actually wanted to text align on the center. Outline is fine. I don't want that. Text. Transition, that we don't really need. I think that's like a timing from one to the next. I don't really need that. Okay, so active or accordion hover. So what happens when I hover? Maybe I'll change this to like a dark blue. Okay, so now when I hover, oop, type that in or I'm going to get the hashtag out of there. Okay, now let's run that. And when I hover, yeah, it should be changing, but it's not. Um, okay, we'll come back to that. Let's see. And the panel, when I expand the panel, um, let's get the panel. I just want display none. I don't really need padding. So let's get rid of that. And background, I don't really want that. Right, because I don't want the panel to be different than the rest of the table stuff. So that's why I'm deleting it. So let's go ahead and run this again. And, if we expand out, notice it's now using the same color scheme that we're using up here, right? So, so that keeps that. And notice with removing the padding, notice the table is now the same width as the button. So if I kind of drag this over a little bit, you can kind of maybe see how it look a little bigger here. Um, so we've got that going on. So again, expand direct groups, expand nested groups, expand home folder, and away you go. All right, so that's kind of looks like the style sheet that I want to go with. Now, one thing to note, when you expand and collapse an accordion, it shows the whole table, including the table header. Now, some people might like that and some people might not. So if you actually don't want the header in there, you could use a little bit of string manipulation to get rid of that. So like, let's say for instance, I've got the right here, I apologize, this website's lagging a little bit. So right here, you can see here's the accordion in the table for the direct groups right here. Okay, so notice when I expand that, I see the header. So you actually see like double direct groups. And maybe, that's like not as pleasing to the eye. So what you could do is come over here, and if you wipe out in the table, a table does not need a header. Okay, if you wipe that out, like so, like check that out, highlighting that line, which is the table header, I wipe that out and I rerun the code. Um, when you expand direct groups, notice there's no header there now. Okay, so maybe that's a change you want to do as well. So I know it is when I was playing around with this, getting ready to do the video. That's definitely something that I changed in my code because I did not want the header. So what I want to do is I literally want to wipe out. Let me bring that line back. I literally want to wipe this line out, okay, from that particular table fragment. So here's how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to come back into my code here. And this was on frag 2, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still generate frag 2 as it should. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm now going to do is I'm going to take, let's get back to the right indent line here. I'm going to take frag 2 and recast it. Do frag 2 using the replace, and I'm going to replace that text string with nothing. Okay, so normally when you're doing a replace, you have the text you want to find, and then comma, and then the text you want to replace it with. Okay, so in this case, I don't want to replace it with anything. So I'm just going to leave that part blank. Okay, so I'm replacing it with nothing. Um, and I basically want to do the same thing with frag 3. Okay, so let's paste that in here. Oh, man, come on. All right, and again, change this to frag 3, and instead of looking for direct, it would be nested. All right. Okay, second thing we need to do, I need to go steal that style sheet that we just made in all of its glory here. All right, so let's get up to the top here, find the body part. I'm going to highlight all of this, all the style sheet stuff. Okay, to right there. We'll copy that, put that in my script. So I'm going to take the style sheet that's in here, and I'm going to wipe it out. Almost there. There we go. Okay, so I just have the style parts, right? So there's the here string, there's your style, and I'm going to paste the new style sheet in there. All right. Again, you can, maybe pretty this up, a little bit how it looks. I'm just going to leave it in kind of raw format here. And just to get the job done, we'll save the script and let's go run the script again. All right, and let's go look at our result. Testing 1 HTM, crack that open, and cool. So report for J. Kent. There's the user information, expand, notice no header, right? So it just has the accordion. So that expands out, and finally that expands out. Now on this one, the home folder directory list, I want to leave the headers, right? Because that explains what each of the columns are. You could, if you wanted to, manipulate to get the column headers into the accordion text, but I don't know if it's really worth the effort to do it. I guess you could, but I'm not gonna tackle that one here. So when you're doing the accordion, you could dump the column headers into there, if you wanted to. Again, it's not something that interests me, but if somebody wants to put the fanciness into that, you're more than welcome to do that. So, that's probably getting close to the limit of what would be interesting to do with PowerShell. Right? So just kind of keep that in mind. The one thing, though, that I'm not seeing is when I hover over, um, there should be a change in color. Okay, so I thought I had that in my style sheet. Maybe I didn't. Let's go back and look. Accordion hover. Um, Background. Maybe it wants background instead of background color. Yeah, let's try that. And if it's not, I don't want to waste anybody else's time here. I'll just punt onto that particular aspect. Let's go rerun. Oh, now it's doing it. So it is background versus background dash color. Right? So there we go. So when we open it up now, okay, cool. So that fixes that. Right? So now when I hover, when the panel is active or when you just hover over the accordion, it's changing it to dark blue. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So when the mouse is completely off, they're all the gradients. I hover over, it changes it to the dark blue. Hover away, hover back, and then when I open it, regardless of where the mouse is, notice it stays the dark blue color. So that means when it's open, right? Or when it's active, I should say. Cool. So one last thing I probably wanted to change here, and again, this has nothing to do with accordions or anything like that. I don't like this. I'm just putting the username in there, but the user has a name, right? Jeff Kent in this case. It's my made-up username. All right. So I want to change that so maybe it shows Jeff Kent there instead of, I don't know, whatever. And even notice up here, like in the title, user report for J. Kent, in the title for the browser page. So those are not that hard to change. I pretty much know what I want to do with that. So if I come back down here in my body, I have all the user details stored in a variable called user query. Okay, so that's basically the AD object. And then I just want to, put that in to where it needs to be. All right, so let's see. So first thing here, so notice right here, frag one, I've got some pre-content, report for dollar user. So dollar user in this case would be the username that was typed in when the script was run, right? So that's this value right here, okay? So instead, I want it to be the actual username. So what variable is that? User query. So I do dollar user query dot name property from that object. So again, this is the result of get 80 user. That's what's in there. Now, when you do something like this, remember, if you just want a part of a variable but not the whole variable, you have to wrap it inside of what's called a sub expression when you're inside double quotes. So to do that, you just do a dollar sign, open parenthesis, and then I'm going to close the parenthesis right there. Okay, so that gets that. And then I want to take this whole thing here and down in my final convert to HTML. Notice I still have user report for dollar user. Let's change that right there. Okay, save this, regenerate the HTML report, which is still testing one HTML. I'm just overwriting it each time. Open that up. And now report for Jeff Kent. And same thing right here. It also has the correct title in the HTML document. All right, cool. So that's that. So we now have expanding and collapsing tables using an element called an accordion. Okay? I think the hardest part of this whole endeavor when I was doing the research is finding that the thing I needed was called an accordion. Because I did expanding tables, collapsing tables. I mean, I did a lot of Google searching around. And those words just led to a lot of different stuff. So hopefully this helps out. I know the person watching my video just had a simple question. Sorry to turn it into an hour-long YouTube video, but I thought it might be of interest to other folks as well. So hence why I made a video, and it certainly was a little more complex than what could be answered in the comment field on a video. So if you like this, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel, particularly the subscribing. I need subscribers to be able to get up to that magic 1,000 level mark. That will then allow me to be able to control the ad content and stuff like that. Until you hit 1,000 subscribers, YouTube doesn't want to know anything about it. So that's basically the magic number, and then I can start, figuring out what to do with the ad revenue that plays while you guys are trying to watch my video. I know videos. I have long videos. They have a lot of tech content in them, but probably there's a lot of ads in there as well. I apologize. I cannot do anything about that until I get to the 1,000 subscriber limit. Then YouTube allows you to have some choices. All right. So yeah. So with that, thanks everybody. Any questions? Throw them down in the comments. I will put this script up on the download site that I have all my other scripts on. So if you guys want this, I will have that up there when I post this video as well. All right. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.